Hey there everyone, this is Quad Flying Mav. I am here with a review on the Fayee FY805. This is currently the smallest toy hexacopter. This is actually a really good flyer. I really like it a lot. I did have some issues after flying it about 5 or 6 times. My motors started to get loose to where they were moving up and down, and it was causing it to get a really bad drift, and I could hardly keep it under control. Sometimes to the point where I was in high rate that it would pitch this far because the gyros were so off balance. What I did to fix this, and I'm not sure if you can see this or not, but I put little tiny pieces of plastic and cut a wedge shape and then pushed it. And it's up under the motor, holding the motor up in place, and that does stop your drift. These motors, I guess, after flying so many times, started to get loose from the little bit of vibration that you get from these propellers, and they were loose in there, causing your gyro to pretty much just kind of go wonky on you and just start wobbling around and not have any kind of control no matter how much you tried to trim. Putting these little plastic wedges inside here did help. Just little tiny slivers of plastic. I don't know if you can see them or not. There's little tiny slivers of plastic that I've put under the motors and cut off some of the excess, and that seems to hold the motors in place to where it flies a whole lot better. Now this is a Pico hex, and in comparison it is actually about the same size as a Cheerson CX-10, which is a nano quadcopter, but they did make this about as small as they could. If you look to see, these props don't have much clearance in between each other. They're very, very close together. This here is the world's smallest quadcopter, which this one that I have here is the Florion FX10, and it's actually a pretty good little flyer too, but in comparison, that's what you get. These both have on-off switch on. Let's put that aside because it's not about that one. We'll put this aside because it's not about this one either. They both have on-off switch. Very cool lights. You have 2 red lights in the back. You have 2 blue lights in the front, and then you have green lights on either side. The battery is built in. It is a 150 milliamp battery. Comes with your typical charging cable for these little Picos that has an external plug that's actually the PC board, and it plugs in there, and you plug this into a USB plug to charge it. It comes with a full extra set of props and a screwdriver, along with the charging cord, the user manual, and a really neat controller that you can actually put your hexacopter in and take it with you. It does have places in here for the feet for the motors. I've found that it's kind of a pain to actually line those up, and sometimes it's better just to not even use the little feet inside the controller. When you want to shut this door, you want to make sure you get all of your props out of the way of the door. Push in on this just a little bit and it'll click down shut. Everything's contained in the controller. The controller has obviously your throttle and then your yaw side to side. Then you have your roll and your pitch controls on this side, and then this is your roll trim, this is your pitch trim, back and forth, left and right, and then over here it has your yaw trim, which is left and right, and then the top button on this one here puts it in headless mode. This has 2 rates, low rate and then high rate. You push this once and you'll hear it beep twice when you're in high rate. In high rate it has the crazy yaw where it spins super fast. In low rates it has a decent yaw rate that's flyable. It's not too slow, but it's not very fast. On-off switch is right here. Your power light for your controller is inside here, so when you turn it on you have that inside there. And I'm pretty satisfied with this guy. At first I was really getting worried because I was getting a bad drift after a few flights, but after wedging just a little tiny piece of plastic in there, and I just cut a very small piece of plastic in a wedge shape and stuffed it under the motor, it seemed to balance out much better. Flies really good. When I first got it, it flew stable and smooth and quiet, and after a few flights it started to get the plastic rattle sound that these little things get, that just and it just didn't want to stay balanced. I think those motors were flopping around in there, and it just had those gyros all kind of messed up. Really good flyer though. This comes with your user manual, which is, you know, your typical, I don't know, used to be a Chinese instruction that they have made into English, so it's not the best instructions, but it basically gives you your basics on how to fly it. I really like this one though. It's not a bad little quadcopter. The FY 805, or the Fayee, and it's called a Navigator. Pretty fun little quad, and it's got a decent sized controller. Pinchers can use it because the sticks stick up high enough. Thumb flyers can use it because, well, obviously it has thumb pads on it. And I get probably about, I'm saying 5 to 6 minutes of flight, depending on how you're flying it. And the charge takes approximately 30 minutes or so, just depending on what kind of a USB plug that you're using. Some USB plugs charge a little bit faster than other ones. And what else can we say about this? Oh, let's see. It does get very good range, surprisingly. I've seen people actually put a mod on here to put the antenna out, but this thing is so small that it gets to the point where you can't even hardly see it, and the range is not really necessary to be modded on this. I have flown it outside, and it does fly quite a distance away, where, like I said, you can hardly see it. So great range on this one. I guess that's about all I have to say about it. Let's take it for a flight indoor, and then I'm actually going to have an outdoor and then also an outdoor night flight with this one. Come back in a minute and we'll do some pros and cons. It is your low rate, roll, and pitch. This is your high rate, roll, and pitch. And let's see, we can do some flips. Got a little bit of forward drift on it, but it's a lot better now. And let's bring it in for some of that yaw rate. Is that cool or what? Very tough to fly it with that high yaw rate. Kind of gotta just kind of jerk it. A little bit of tap on the controller. You can move it really slow, but it's very hard to get that one spot where it doesn't over yaw. And you can have that high pitch with that. A little too much though, it spins out. It's much better flyer in low. And as for funnels, that's about all you can get on low rate. But I do believe my problem was some serious off balance caused by motor vibration. It is so much smoother now. I could probably trim this out to actually get a good hover again. Yep. Perfectly smooth hover. Not a bad little flyer, but after you fly it so many times, those motors will become loose on you, and you need to find a way to get them to snug down again, because if you don't, it vibrates the gyro and causes some very, very bad drift. Not a bad little quadcopter though, aside from that one little issue that caused me many, many problems. Let's check out that crazy yaw again. And let's do some headless. Let's try a little bit of high rates headless. Headless mode does work. Gets a little sloppy with that extreme high yaw rate. And it's starting to lose its bearing already. So let's go ahead and reset my gyros on here. Get that headless mode direction back. And it's starting to lose it again already. Headless mode does work. Doesn't work very long when you're spinning that fast. You have to reset your gyros. And you just push down and out, and that resets your gyros. And your headless mode will be reset also, or your headless mode direction. It's no control. I'm not giving it any forward pitch at all. No forward pitch. It's doing that all on its own. Just to show you. Watch, just throttle. Just throttle. The more I give it, the more it does it. No forward pitch. Okay, as for the pros and cons on this one, this is a great flyer. If you actually put the little things in there to keep it from wobbling around after so many flights, when it does start to get a little unstable, it is actually a really great flyer. Stays nice and smooth, nice and quiet, gets rid of the rattling sound if you wedge these little pieces of plastic inside here to keep these motors from moving around. I'm really happy with this. Has great range, has a really cool yaw rate on high. If you go slow enough on high rates with your yaw, you can move it just barely and actually get a slow turn. If you move it too much, though, it's just going to spin super fast and wipe out on you. Has good long battery life, and I'm pretty happy with this one. It's got really cool lights, and it's a fun flyer. Thanks for watching. If you have any comments or any questions, please leave them in the comments. And thanks for watching again, and please subscribe. This is Quad Flying Mav, and we'll see you all on the next one.